It's safe to say that United Airlines continues to grow at a record pace. Today, we're going to be talking about their subsidiary Mesa Airlines and how they're going to be acquiring new Embraer ERJ-175 aircraft to continue to enhance the United Airlines brand and the entire operation as a whole. This is going to be a blast, and I'm super excited for this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Mesa Airlines is going to be dropping their Bombardier CRJ-900s and transitioning to an all ERJ-175 fleet. What does this mean for United? Are they going to have more flights? Is there any major changes that come with this? We're going to discuss all that in today's video, as there's so much to talk about here as United continues to grow not only their mainline presence in their international routes, but also their regional jet presence as well. So I hope all of you are excited for today's analysis. It's going to be really cool to see what United Express is doing here, and it's definitely just as critical to establish these small hub airports as it is these bigger cities that they continue to fly the mainline jets to. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the $230 million sale here for United Express with the Mesa Airlines subsidiary, as they're going to have a sale-back lease of 18 ERJ-175's. Huge shout out to Flight Global for making this article, so we'll go through this first, talk about the implications, and then get into the details regarding what this really means for not only you, the customer, but also what to expect here for United as a whole. So let's go ahead and get started. So United has agreed to purchase 18 ERJ-175's from regional partner Mesa Airlines in a sale-back lease deal that will raise some $230 million for the regional carrier, which is really crazy to think about the amount of assets that are going on here. And it'll make more sense why, initially you'd think 18, like they're expanding the entire operation. There is a caveat with this, and we hinted at it at the beginning of the video, but even still, the 18 aircraft will be huge, not only for the onboard experience, but also for new frequencies and additional capacity for the United Express brand. So Mesa is based in Phoenix, Arizona, and they just closed this deal in January 7th with the exchange. They have $142 million of sale proceeds that'll be allocated towards paying off the carrier's debt. So this is another really nice component of this, as what they're doing, getting rid of some previous aircraft types, will open the door for Mesa Airlines to knock out some of their debt. There was a variety of reasons, including a previous partnership with American Eagle, and that's the reason that they're in this debt now. But it's awesome to see that Mesa Airlines is starting to pay this off as they start to move forward. It's also worth noting that 8 of these aircraft deals already closed on 31 of December. There's still 10 to go, and hopefully this will be done within a month or so. So that is the current status of that. But anyway, it's going to be 18 total aircraft that's going on here. And the primary driving force here of why United Express is making this happen with Mesa Airlines is that Mesa Airlines is going to be quickly selling here their Bombardier CRJ-900 aircraft types. They've had several of these dating back to when they operated for US Airways Express, which is crazy to think about, well over 10 years ago. These aircraft came from Iberia in the early 2010s, operated for US Airways Express, quickly transitioned to American Eagle during the merger, and now flew with United for about 2 years. But anyway, what happened here is there was a third-party deal that included $19 million of assets for these CRJ-900 airframes. So it's pretty interesting to think about the transition process here. Obviously, we can't see much of that from the public aspect, but what we can say is that it's great to see Mesa Airlines moving on from these wore-out older CRJ-900s now to these E175's. I don't expect much to come out of these CRJ-900s. I would expect for them to pretty much be done with these. So we'll see what happens in the long-term jeopardy of these aircraft, but currently that is the status of those aircraft. Additional information here is that deal will continue through April, and we'll see what happens with the closing conditions. And Mesa, once again, flies as a regional partner for United Express. They've been looking for substantial financial and operational stability, and it's been really difficult to transition away from American Airlines, and also their hiring process has been pretty interesting as well. So plenty of analysis to go into with that, but really get to the point here. That partnership with American didn't quite work out, and as a result, they've been trying to slowly but surely rebuild their stability since that time frame. Luckily though, over the last several months, they've been able to do a pretty good job of this, as they've been able to evaluate more of this. Is the hiring process for most of these US carriers, including Mesa, has slowed down, and we'll see significantly daily aircraft I can't pronounce this word very well. I believe it's utilization rates, and that will be increasing, which is really good towards helping out. So they worked with the United Airlines network planners, and they were able to boost the aircraft. I think this is another word for utilization, all the way up from 8.9 block hours to 9.5, which is really exciting because you want to maximize your aircraft, right? And there was a couple of reasons why it was closer to 8.9. I know it doesn't seem like 0.6 block hours is that much for the aircraft, but it's really huge, and we'll be able to see practical examples of this as United Airlines has already put this into their summer 2025 schedule, which is super exciting. And once again, with this plus the 3 aircraft that they're going to have a net gain because they're selling 15 on the Bombardier CRJ-900s in favor of 18 ERJ-175's. It's really cool to see the transition period and how they were able to work with the network planners to get more utilization out of the aircraft. So it's really important. And this is really huge for not only Mesa's stability to get back the profitability, but also for United as well as the airline partner. You have to fully maximize your resources in 2025. There's a couple carriers that are notorious for doing it. United also has a couple of other regional partners that I would like to see them increase the block times with, including GoJet Airlines particularly. They have a couple of routes where they're sitting aircraft for up to 17 hours a day, and that is completely unacceptable regardless if it's overnight or not. So with that being said, fortunately they have already worked with Mesa, and I hope to see them work with GoJet here in the near future regarding progression towards getting these block hours up and as such increasing the aircraft's utilization. That being said, let's go ahead and get down here to the last part of this. While still below pre-COVID levels, the aircraft, utilization is the easier word to say, so I'll say that the increase of utilization is substantially reduced, attrition throughout all work groups, more optimal scheduling practices, and improved operational performances. So this matters so much, like I said, to maximize the aircraft's resources, maximize your airline's resources, make as much money as possible for already having these assets. So we're going to talk about exactly the implications and how they were able to fully convert on this over time. So once again, between the 3 new aircraft that they're getting, since they got 18 E175s and got rid of 15 aircraft, the CRJ-900s, now with 3 new aircraft and also increasing the block hour average to 9.5, so 0.6, United Airlines, on the behalf of United Express and Mesa Airlines, were able to add several new flights into their network because this is a trickle-down effect, which is really cool to see it this way. Mesa Airlines primarily operates E175s out of the Houston George Bush operation for United Express, and previously they've been operating a mix of E175s and CRJ-900s to a variety of cities within the hour to 2.5 hour flight range. Cities of this include Midland, Texas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, Northwest Arkansas, Springfield, Huntsville, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, a really nice array of cities that, see this aircraft type. Typically, United keeps their E145s with the Commute Air brand to some of the smaller cities around. So you're going to see like Brownsville, Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas, and a few other examples, mainly seeing the ERJ-145 aircraft types moving forward. So what happened here was that Mesa was able to get these aircraft and talk with the network planners like, there's more opportunity to make money here, so why don't we start flying aircraft to more and more places? So I was looking through the schedule when I was on a trip, and I was trying to figure out, because United added a bunch of flights onto the schedule, particularly from my home airport in Tulsa. So I was like, what the heck are we doing here? Where are all these flights coming from? Like, we haven't reached these utilization aircraft levels since 2015. So I'm like, where did this come from? Because there's a fine line between operating aircraft and maximizing their potential and also making as much money as possible. You could send an aircraft out at 6 a.m. from Houston, but the chances are it's not going to perform very well for most cities because there's not enough point-to-point demand and the connections are not landing yet. They don't land until 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So obviously you got to balance that fine concept there. United Airlines was able to do that with this optimization with these new aircraft. So let's talk about exactly what they did. The first example we're going to take a look at here today is the Houston to Tulsa route because I'm most familiar with this one. So I'm going to show you what it looks like before they get these aircraft, and then I want to show you what it looks like after they get these aircraft. And I apologize about the lag a little bit in advance. I'm trying to get that worked on with my computer, but it's just so tough with all of the software that it takes to make this particular video. Anyway, though, let's take a look at this graph. So you can see here, this is the Houston-Tulsa route. The dots represent a flight. So Houston-Tulsa in April, we're looking at April 11th here of 2025, will be operated 5 times a day with 4 regional jets and 1 mainline aircraft, as you can see here. So we have various ERJs and CRJ aircrafts listed here. So just really take this in for a moment and realize and look in at the amount of variety on this. So you have one E175, you have a CRJ-200, a ERJ-175, an Airbus E319, and another ERJ-175 on most days. So this begs the question of, all this variety, how can you optimize and maximize your network with all this variety? So, it obviously takes quite a few assets, and the United network planners want to maximize each seat that they use. But quite frankly, for TUL, there's more opportunity here to make money than what they have with this current lineup. So United, for the last several years, and even dating back before the pandemic, overcharged on routes like this and connecting flights to, they didn't have enough aircraft and enough utilization with Mesa Airlines and other regional subsidiaries. GoJet's another great example of maximizing the aircraft's use, along with being able to have enough maintenance time and so on. With that 8.9 block hours for Mesa, for example, they weren't able to add additional flights, and this is the most of what they were able to do. So that begged the question to United. It's like, there's plenty of opportunity here. We're seeing in the booking algorithms and the demand for many cities of the size, anywhere from 1 million passengers to 10 million passengers. We can add more flights here, and we want to maximize this concept. So why don't we see if we can make more money here? So they talked with Mesa, and it's like, if you get rid of these ERJ-900s, we're going to help you out to get more 175s so we can maximize the aircraft's use because they're newer, so you can obviously fly them more, along with the aspect of adding new flights to the places. So if we get a net gain of +3 aircraft plus the 0.6 block time, we can add all kinds of frequencies. So keep in mind, this is 5 daily flights. So when I logged in on Thursday night when they do their revisions on May 23rd, when the new block starts for the summer, I was shocked to see that they have 8 daily flights to Tulsa International Airport, which this actually makes Tulsa International from Houston George Bush the largest market served that is not a hub airport. The next smallest city that has this many daily flights in any capacity, whether it's mainline or not, is New Orleans, and they get 13 million passengers a year. So Tulsa is the biggest served market out of Houston, under 10 million passengers for the summer, which is really cool as a local to be able to say that. I'm really proud of it. Notice what we got going here though. So there's new frequencies. So usually a flight from Houston at 7:45 in the morning is playing with fire. There's not enough connections to maximize this opportunity. What United's going to do is they're going to have some really low ticket prices on some red-eye flights, some flights from South America, and some of the early morning flights that leave X destination at 5 a.m., getting to Houston at 6:45, and then onward connection to Houston at 7:45 to 9:30. So the thought process here is that this opens the door for passengers that wouldn't typically take United to take an early morning flight to save substantial money, because what this is important to realize is this is a SkyWest 175 that we're looking at right here, 5544. What's important about this is all these flights directly relate. This starts to get complex, so if you have any questions, comment below. But the fundamental concept that we're looking at here is that United is like, okay, this flight normally would not make much money, and it's not going to make much relative to what the flight at 9:30 is going to make, right? Because all the planes from Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Omaha, Nebraska, Midland, Texas, all these flights are going to come in at once, and then everybody can connect on at the normal price that we charge, what makes money, to leave there at 9:30, get in at 11. That goes all the way throughout the day. Okay, so that's the initial thought process. But United's like, okay, if we send a flight out at 7:45, fully utilize the aircraft we already have in Houston from a later night flight that we normally wouldn't operate, if we maximize this aircraft's use on a SkyWest 175, if it gets to Tulsa by 9:30, what we can do is we can overcharge its next flight. So what United's done previously at Tulsa is they've had 3 daily flights. One of the flights comes in at 6 o'clock in the evening and doesn't leave till 11 o'clock the next morning. That's the 17 hours of GoJet sit time I was talking about. They do that at a couple airports. Is that plane going to make money sitting on the ground for 17 hours? No, a plane never makes money sitting on the ground. United said, okay, so let's eliminate that segment. And why don't we get it to the point where the Tulsa to Chicago flight at 10 o'clock in the morning, we're going to overcharge for that to offset what we're going to lose by bringing the aircraft in early in the morning from Houston. And that's exactly what we have here. So as you can see, United Airlines has added a flight at 10 o'clock, this is the ERJ-175 coming in from Houston and then goes on to Chicago. So United's thought process here is we're going to fully maximize and offer lower prices on this Houston flight in conjunction with overcharging this 10 o'clock flight on this ERJ-175, and we're going to end up making money out of this. And guess what? The best part of this is the aircraft, and they're talking about this in utilization times, doesn't sit on the ground for 17 hours. It sits for an hour and then it goes on. So essentially you're simulating an overnight by doing this in conjunction with making more money. I'm a huge fan of this. United's done a bunch of sitting planes on the ground. They've done this over the last several months. There's been a bunch of contractual agreements, and once again with the maintenance and various components, particularly from Mesa and GoJet, they are finally going to eliminate what they're doing here. So as you can see, instead of the aircraft landing at 5:30 and sitting till 10 o'clock, this aircraft now goes back and adds a 4th daily flight to Chicago, leaving at 6:15, getting into Chicago at 8:30 for the final bank of the night. perfect utilization. It's a CRJ-550. You can get 50 people on there at 6:15, get them in by 8:30, and then they go on to Boston, Toronto, wherever they want to go. Is the price going to have to be a little bit lower relative to others, especially on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays? Yes, it's going to have to be lower, but is it worth it so the aircraft doesn't sit for 17 hours? Because now this aircraft at 9:30 can go on a new flight to Fargo or wherever it's going to go, Fargo, Sioux Falls, you name it, anywhere that's going to get this flight. So United has been able to fully maximize this as a byproduct as Mesa getting these ERJ-175 aircraft types. So I know it got a little complex there to explain this, but that's the fundamental concept here. So not only does this help out Mesa, GoJet, all these other carriers, but now these Commuter Air 145s I showed you a few minutes ago, these Commuter aircraft, let me show you what we have here. These Commuter Air 145s can now add additional flights to other cities. A really good example of this is Gulfport, Mississippi, a place we don't think of very often. I guess that's not its code. I thought, oh, TUL doesn't have flights. Of course it doesn't. There we go. So Gulfport now has a 4th daily flight. Typically, they've had 3 daily flights during the summer. Now you can catch it 4 times a day. And the additional flight here, I believe, is this flight right here that arrives at 4 o'clock. You can overcharge any flight during the day and make money. So now that this aircraft doesn't have to go to Tulsa, it can now go to somewhere else. So United getting these 3 additional planes and maximizing the fleet utilization of their Mesa E175s is a huge influence on their future, and I'm a huge fan of this. You know, I get so frustrated. Delta's done an amazing job of it over time, of maximizing their aircraft's utilization. United's been pretty notorious on the regional jet level for not doing this, and as such, they have compromised for it. United Airlines is making money by doing this. So not only does it help out to utilize your aircraft, but you're able to get more flights in, and you're able to overcharge for daytime segments, right? Because your 7:45 a.m. departure is not going to make much money. I'll show you one more example before we conclude today's video, and that's going to be the Tulsa to Houston flight on the outbound flight. Tulsa has not had a 5 a.m. departure to Houston since 2015. It has been a long time since we've had a flight this early in the morning. So is there going to be as many people on this 5 a.m. flight? No, they're probably going to be able to only get 30 to 40 people on it. And who knows, it may blow me away, but there's enough connecting opportunities in Houston to where you can get a lower price and charge a premium price on this Boeing 737-900 aircraft type here at 7 o'clock. So this aircraft is now the additional flight, but keep in mind, this flight's now going to come in at 8 p.m. in the evening. So you're able to overcharge on the 8 p.m. flight, and in the morning at 5 a.m. if you have to have a little bit lower of a price and not get as many people on board, that's okay, because you're going to end up profiting on this flight from the flight the night before. Getting it here was the most important part, and that's why you see a flight here at 8:05 as well. This flight is very profitable and it's going to make a bunch of money at that time of the day. This plane comes in at 11:45 in the evening. There's only one bank left at Houston. Most of them get on this Boeing 737 from the previous connecting opportunities, so you're by default not going to make as much money on the evening flight, but this morning flight makes it worth it. So United Airlines is not only getting more frequencies available for passengers, but by lowering the price and at least breaking even on these flights at 5 a.m. and, you know, the 7:45 departure out of Houston in the morning, not only are you providing more options for passengers and increasing seat capacity across the entire United States, but you're also going to maximize your fleet utilization, and this opens the door for not only new frequencies, but also new routes to come. So I really hope all of you enjoyed the analysis today. This is huge why Mesa Airlines is doing this, and quite exciting. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the analysis, if I could have explained it any better, and if you'd like to see it explained in a different way or any other utilizations. The other carriers have done a really good job. It's really awesome to see United finally stepping foot into this. I'm glad that they're working together with Mesa to get this done for the benefit of the carrier, and I'm really eager to see what's going to be next. So it's quite exciting here. I'm really excited for it, and overall, it is quite an exciting time on the front of moving forward here at United Airlines and all the other carriers to come here in the near future. So let me know what you think in the comments. Definitely happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, this is all from the outside looking in, not sponsored by United in any way or Mesa Airlines or any of these carriers. I'm giving you an analysis from the outside looking in. I have other videos on airlines such as Frontier, American, Southwest coming soon, so we'll talk about those, especially Southwest. But anyway, we'll continue to move forward. But United, a huge thumbs up to fleet utilization. This is huge for the future, and they're going to operate what is likely a record, definitely regional jet schedule, but I believe an entire schedule in 2025 summer. Well, thank you all so much for watching today's video. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love what you do. My name is CM Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as CM Aviation is signing off.